Hey, Angela here. Strike TV with another great episode of Backstage Access. Angela, myself, and my sidekick Brian Ring with country singer-songwriter icon.
Oh my gosh.
Icon, Mr.
Wow.
Terry McBride.
Well, all right, I'll take it.
Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome,
nice
Terry.
to see you guys. Thanks for having me and coming out to see us. I appreciate that.
No. Thanks for letting us come in and kind of invade your space.
Come on.
Take over for a little while.
I was looking forward to it. I know I've been here a couple times, and so this room can be fun where we're playing here tonight, and
Right.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been a while. Now, my husband interviewed you back in like 1993, I
Right,
believe.
yeah, we were
Way
going back in the
when.
day. Yeah,
Yes,
you bet.
With McBride and the Right.
Back in those fanfare, they called it back in those days. And
Definitely.
yeah, those were some good days. They were
Those
a
are
lot of
awesome.
fun.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's kick it off with your new song, your new single
cool.
you got out.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, but I haven't been the solo artist ever.
Right.
After all and everything that I've done. So this is an exciting little phase for me that I'm going through.
Right.
And to have my music accepted and being, played and recognized in Texas, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, this is where I'm from, and the fact that my music fits and I can kind of be me and what I like and to do and write and sing. It's just, it's great. So I've embraced that, and I've been able to tour because of it and play a lot of places down here. So any excuse to come to Texas and
Well,
be
you're
part
born
of
and
the
raised, though, right?
Yeah, I was born in Taylor, Texas, but I grew up in Lampasas.
Okay.
And I lived there all through the 80s, and 91 I moved up to Nashville, got signed to MCA. And I was spending all my time in Nashville at that point, living in a hotel, and I had a family, and it was just one of those things where I had to make the move if I was going to spend the most amount of time, quality time with my family, and also be in the business, because that's that's where I was located and headquartered at that particular time. But my roots and my ties to Texas have always been pretty strong, and they still are. I write with a lot of young artists down here. I've had success with some artists in Texas, from Cody Johnson to Josh Ward to Tristan Mares and on and on. So I love that. I love that these younger guys are sort of knocking on my door from time to time.
Right,
I want to write a few things,
Heck,
and I like that. I can connect and I relate, and it's a good thing for me, It's very cool.
Yes, sir.
So talk about the new album, new music. Talk about Rebels and Angels.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that song title? I'm just
that's a good question. Now that you brought it up, I was actually reading. I was reading something, and it wasn't Rebels and Angels, but I like that. I like the thought of the rebels, and then something led me to angels, and eventually just tied it together. I thought that could be cool, And I had Chris Stapleton coming up.
Right.
Chris was an unknown at the time. He hadn't had hardly any success. He was just new to town, but I liked him. We hit it off when we first met, first wrote. We started getting a couple cuts together, and so I threw that idea out there. He liked it. And it was so country, and it's a waltz.
Really?
I thought no one's ever going to record this song, but I thought I can. I can do it. And then as I started listening to it and thinking about recording it, the storyline really lent itself to a duet. Part of the song is the rebel, part of the song is the angel, and it's also talking about their children is the angel. She's now involved with the rebel. I thought this could be really cool. And of course, I really only thought about Patty Loveless for the song and reached out to her. And fortunately for me, she really liked the song and responded, hit me right back and said, Terry, I love this song. And she said, I'm going to sing it with you. She goes, last year I sang with Bob Seger, and this year I'm going to sing with you, she said. I said, oh, fantastic. I'm glad you could fit me in.
That is
between
awesome.
Bob Seger. Yeah, it was flattering and it was wonderful all at the same time because I'm such a fan and got to know Patty early on in my, starving musician phase, which went on way longer than I thought it would. But met her and knew a lot of her bandmates and guys in the band. And they started playing some of my demos on the bus. She actually was one of the first people that sort of put my name out there to Tony Brown, who ended up being my producer and ended up signing me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he didn't tell me that until years and years later, but which was a thrill. But yeah, it just once I had Patty on that song, then I sort of had a little centerpiece for this album. That was a moment, something we could talk about, obviously, and then built sort of the record around that. Really, that's how it started.
Yeah, thank you for bringing Patty Just
well,
Patty Love.
everyone does, and she doesn't do a lot these days. And her fans are so loyal; they love her. Everyone does that I've talked to in interviews I've done, and it was just a wonderful thing for me. Being a fan, and we worked hard on that song together and separately. Just she has a home studio where she was doing her parts, and I was doing mine and singing the harmony with her, but. It was a great thing. Emery Gordy, her husband, he helped and worked on it as well, which is a great thrill. I'm a huge fan of his, and from back in the day, some of the records he played on and produced, pretty amazing. Then we ended up corresponding a lot, and that was really fun for me.
Awesome.
The whole project was wonderful.
Wow. Well, hey, speaking of fans of some of the musicians that you've written for, now let's go back a little bit further.
Okay, cool.
The first fan of yours, and he was your dad.
Oh.
And a musician.
Yeah.
And then tell us about when you were 9, you got your first guitar.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Well, like a lot of kids, a lot of boys growing up, I looked up to my dad. I wanted to be just like him, and of course I wanted to be, in his band. I thought at that time that's all I could, that's all I could think about doing. And so when I was 9, he got me a little guitar he had bought in Mexico. My dad used to play all through Texas and actually into Juarez, Matamoros. He would play some theaters over there back in the day. It was pretty interesting what he was doing, but he was full-time traveling, singing, recording artist, songwriter. And so I had that little guitar, and I worked and worked. The action on that little guitar was so high. My dad was a bigger guy than me and much stronger, obviously, than a 9-year-old kid. I don't know if it was a test or what. I think it was a test. But I managed to cry and bleed my way through learning 3 chords on that. And then he went, darn, now I'm going to really have to help him, And he did. He was an amazingly talented person. He could read, write, notation. We had a recording studio, and we would bring in a string ensemble sometimes. And my dad would write all the string parts and charts himself, which is almost a dying art these days for certain, musicians don't even use that form of writing anymore. But talented person, and so I had that as my teacher and my mentor and someone I looked up to, growing up. It was a very beneficial. It was tough too. It was a tough love kind of thing. Even when I got out of high school, I wanted to be in my dad's band. He was starting to have some success in Billboard charts, and he was with an independent label. So he made me audition for the band against 2 older guys.
For your dad.
Most definitely. And I had already played in the band in the 8th grade. I already played a full summer with the guys. The bass player got fired suddenly and thrown in jail, actually. And I had the gig.
No.
Yeah, I had the gig. And he tried to pick a fight with my dad and got overserved and threw a chair through the lobby of the hotel where they were performing. And so the next day I had the gig. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And played for the rest of the summer.
Look at you.
Then the 9th grade I had to go to school. It was really a bummer for me. I thought I was in the band, But yeah, he made me audition. Then he let the piano player, a wonderful player that he had, he decided who got the job, not my dad. So he was very serious about music, and it was a business,
Well, that's good, because
it
helped you.
Well, it did. It pushed me and forced me and made me work hard, wanting to be in that band. And I knew the material better. I'd already played all that stuff, So I eventually did get in the band, drove the bus, and, did everything I could do to be in the band. It was a wonderful experience right out of high school, touring. We were on the road with opening for shows like Ronnie Milsap, Roy Clark, Barbara Mandrell, doing cool stuff, right out of high school, late 70s. It was a pretty cool time and a great experience. Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh,
I mean now, hey, McBride the Ride and your solo, it's just.
And what's interesting
amazing.
is if when we listen to the radio, in some cases we just, I don't, but in some, no, people, if they hear the song, they think the artist wrote the song and the artist, but you've written hits and hits and hits and hits. We were talking earlier, so it was a little bit of a comparison. So you for Brooks and Dunn is almost like Dean Dillon for George Strait, in a way.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take that for sure, but
that's good, right?
you're being kind for sure. But,
no, it's...
Well, I had a great run with those guys, It was, I had a little bit of a relationship with them because Kix co-wrote a song for McBride the Right, Sacred Ground,
Yes.
So I knew Kix. Then we were all nominated New Group of the Year, 92. McBride and the Ride, Brooks and Dunn, and a time in Rio, I believe that year, a CMA and an ACM award. So I kept running into them. Then we played some dates together, opened some shows for those guys. Of course, they were red hot. And then later, as McBride and the Ride was winding down, I started getting some songs recorded. John Anderson, George Strait was one of my first cuts. It was like a dream come true, growing up in Texas and being a George Strait fan. Then Brooks and Dunn, they recorded a song called I Am That Man and became a hit. Ronnie invited me over to his house. He goes, come over, let's visit, man. I love this song. I've always been a fan. He was so kind and so nice to me. And just when we got together, we hit it off, just like old high school buddies. We had so much in common, personally and musically. Our tastes were very similar, and that allowed us to sort of share ideas that we also liked, and it was just sort of a win-win for me. I mean, I fell into it.
Right.
And then Ronnie was like, come out. He was just getting off of the band bus, and he was getting his own bus. It was about 1996, and he said, why don't you come go with me? I'm going to California. Come get on the bus. And I did. We wrote like 10 songs in 15 days.
Wow.
On that run, yeah, including some hits.
Dang.
And so after that run, Ronnie's like, man, when the bus is leaving, just be on it, come on and go. And I thought that's better than being under the bus, which I've been thrown under a few times. But and that started a 13-year run for me with Brooks and Dunn. So just great opportunities and wonderful experience again. Just we had so much fun, and we also worked hard and had some success along the way too. It was a great time.
Well, speaking of songs, I want to talk about Promised Land.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we got to go back.
Yeah.
1995. We got married.
I heard a little something about this.
And 1996 was our first year anniversary.
Yes.
So,
wow.
I'm sitting there, and he cooked me a good, nice dinner.
Nice.
Tommy's got me this dinner spread out, which he still cooks.
Oh, a romantic
so I'm sitting
side
there,
of him.
he turns the music on, and it's y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Promised Land. And of course I lose it.
Well, that's so
I
fitting. I mean,
but
kudos to Tommy.
Hey,
holy cow.
26 years now.
Yeah.
August. We got the country house.
Yeah,
got the little house in the country. We got the fence.
Yeah.
The oak trees.
The honeysuckle vine.
The honeysuckle vine. We got all that going on now.
Oh my gosh, that's so wonderful.
But yeah, music's just, it's a big part of, everyday life. Yes, everybody's.
Well, that's where that song came from for me. I got to write that with Bob DiPiero and John Scott Sherrill, who are fantastic writers and were friends of mine at that particular time. We were writing a few things. And I'd just come off the road and, continuing to write and jot ideas down, and thinking about my own situation, and had recently just bought my first home ever,
Wow.
And my wife, we've been together for 40 years now. So we met in high school. And so that was a big part of that song, sharing what I had, that was important to me, to have a place, obviously, for everyone.
Yes.
You can finally get that little piece of ground that you can call your
Yes.
own. It's exciting and big stuff. And then visually fill in some, color it with some cool little moments that you can see, I mean, that's what music and songs are all about. And that song is a popular tune. We just got back with McBride and the Ride. We just did our first dates in 20 years just a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic. And we get a lot of requests for that song. So, and Ray Herndon, our guitar player, was like, man, we need to put that song in the set. So come see us sometime, and we'll do that song for you.
Hey, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that. That's so cool.
I love it.
So while we're here, let's talk about She Shows Up.
Oh,
So it's the third most added song, I believe, if I did a little.
Oh, cool.
So tell us about that since we're here. And
yeah. Well, Doug, that's my second single in Texas, and my first single was called Calling All Hearts, and we just had a #1 song with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Huge thrill and exciting. And this is the follow-up. It's doing really well. It's I was doing a lot of interviews this morning, and a lot of people filling me in on how well it's doing, and that's always good to hear.
Yeah.
But it's just a song that it's a song like a lot of songs I grew up with. I cut my teeth on songs like that, classic country, shuffles.
Yes.
And then trying to make it your own is the tough part, because shuffles, can tend to sound a lot alike. They're simple, you know, 2, 3, 4 chords possibly.
Right.
And when I was young and playing bass, that's what two-stepping, it was all about that in Texas, you know.
Oh, definitely.
And that's kind of where that song, a little bit of a throwback. I wrote it with a younger guy, Matt Rogers, and we almost didn't write a song that day. We ended up talking a lot. Didn't really have an idea. All of a sudden, we started talking and said, man, let's just write something country. Let's just write a country song. Let's don't even think about, who we're trying to write something for. Let's just write something cool and country. And that song just fell out as quick and as good as anything we could have hoped for, And we didn't even go in the studio and cut it or do a demo or anything. I just knew from our work tape that song could fit me. I could do it. And then we cut it, and it became part of the album. And really connecting with some fans and audience down here. So that's a great thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Heck
cool.
yeah. Well, hey, on your music, the merchandise, your tour dates, they can find you on.
Yeah, Terry McBride Music. Just about any place you like to look for somebody. I mean, that's my website. That's my Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah, you can find me. I love
Awesome.
hearing from people. I'm very hands-on. I have people that help me, but I really respond to each and every person, and love hearing from people. It's all been very positive. It's been a great experience, and it's growing and going, and it's a great time. I didn't know what to expect, but each show, each song, it's very encouraging.
It's good. Well, hey, we appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys
Terry
tracking me
McBride.
down.
Awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks
We
for
appreciate
having
it.
me. Likewise.
Thank you. Angela here, Brian, Terry McBride,
See you guys.
See ya.
Strike TV.